Pietà, mia signora, piegatelo e frustatelo. Ho sbagliato, ma abbi pietà. Allora che aspetti, disgraziato? Mettilo qua, adesso. Maraviglia! I corpi! Scaletta! Quelli iniziali! Buone notizie! Fammi più moderne! Giostra! Vedo cappucciata, prosciutto, guardare! La maggiore!
So, Romans took Epicurus to mean that happiness was the main goal, and that example may very well be historically accurate from the Nero period of people just eating all day long. Because eating was fun, so it was basically a dinner party, and you can imagine, I mean, one of the stories about this, and I don't know if it's a myth or if it's true, was that they had a type of bathroom that was referred to as a vomitorium, where literally during the day, of course, if you're eating and you get full, you can't eat anymore, so you have to go to a room and gag yourself till you throw up, so you can come back and eat more.
That one's unfortunately true.
I've heard both. Some people say no, they didn't really do that, but I've heard others that support it. And I think at the point where he gets up and he has two assistants lead him off, I think that's probably what he was doing. Although who knows, you might do both at once. One of the neatest little funny bits in Mary Beard. Mary Beard is a specialist. You could actually do her as a philosopher for your term paper, if you're interested. And these are some of her books, it looks like. And one of the, she does lots of BBC videos, and it's so cute because she wears these little red sneakers. She's an old woman. She's walking along or bicycling. And it's kind of fun, and she visits all these Roman ruins. And when she's looking at them, she translates, what they say, whether they're Greek or Latin. And she teaches in England, in Cambridge. In any case, on the one scene, she sits at the bathroom, the ancient bathroom that the Romans had in the one town in North Africa, and it was just a square room with potties all around, just the little holes, that everything goes right down into like a little stream underneath, and it's pretty obvious that whole groups of people would be all sitting there together at the same time, and that seems, I don't know, when I was in the Army, one of the things, in the first couple of days, they're trying to break you down, tear you down, so that you're no longer the old self you were when you joined, but they want to tear that down and then build you up with, now a team kind of a feeling. And one of the things that they used, at least at the time, was the bathrooms didn't have any stalls. So if you went to the bathroom, you were sitting there in the open. In fact, not only was the room open, but the windows were open. So people outside the window could look in and see everybody sitting there. And I thought, that's actually pretty devastating. Unless you're a Stoic and can, retreat from that dilemma and not feel it, because basically everybody's staring at you while you're doing what you grew up feeling was very private. So that's kind of intriguing. And the Romans obviously didn't feel that way, at least in some places. So that's kind of interesting. And she laughingly explains that while she's sitting on one of those, not undressed, of course, but you know, she is British, so. But so Epicurus, and by the way, in that scene that Fellini depicts for us from the Satyricon, where in that book, people were in Trimalchio's feast, where they're just all dining all day long, every day. Can you imagine the tedium, the boredom of that? In any case, they mention Leucippus at one point, and Leucippus, the poet, is a Latin poet that's a follower of Epicurus. So that's kind of interesting to think that way. But Epicurus in his philosophy talks about eating and living and having pleasure by being a conservative, as opposed to just exorbitantly just enjoying yourself all the time. Instead, he feels it's more important for you to live a long, healthy life than to enjoy yourself too much at the one time, right? And so when we see these depictions of people being Epicurean, it's not true to Epicurus' actual philosophy. He thought the best life was a long, healthy life. And so you want to live in a way where you can be happy. So he's more social than the Cynics, but not completely embedded in society. Instead, he's wealthy, perhaps in the same way Trimalchio was, and he has a nice palatial grounds in Athens where his students all come and pay to stay with him. And he has everything he needs, self-sufficient, right there in his garden. He calls it a garden, right? Where he grows the food he needs and has everything he needs. He likes family, and he likes being self-sufficient. He doesn't want to be involved in all the complexities associated with a society that's having all kinds of problems. He's isolated himself from that. So when I update that to today, and I think who lives this way today, I think of people like preppers, maybe? That, you know, preppers? What are preppers? People that want to
get ready for the apocalypse.
But mostly what they do is they live in some sort of garden that they've created of their own. Maybe where they live in the bush and they have their own crops that they plant. They hunt for their food, but they have a family. And you know, they're trying to have all of the benefits of a good life, but at the same time, you know, they're not like the Cynics just living like a dog, but instead they're living in a place that they've made, that they're safe in. You know, they have their food, they have everything they need. So basically they're antisocial to an extent because they don't want to be part of the bigger picture, right? And when we look at people that live in the bush communities that they make here, they're generally happy during their middle age period. You know, maybe when they're raising their children, it might be a good life for the children perhaps. But once they get older and they start having problems, then they tend to sell or get rid of their properties, and they move into an urban environment in order to take advantage of the benefits of, you know, the opportunities that we have for old age people, right? So that's interesting. In a way, you might think of it as a commune. Another example of that, people that want to live in a commune, they group together, and you know, if you're familiar with B.F. Skinner, anybody? B.F. Skinner was a behavioral psychologist. Actually, he's the behavioral psychologist. He invented it and created the idea of communes in his book Walden 2. Walden number 1 would be the one by Thoreau, but his book Walden 2 is kind of a depiction of what a commune would be like, where everybody At the time, these were hippie communes, so you could even go on videos and see there are videos of these different hippie communes, even with B.F. Skinner visiting them, which was kind of an interesting thing, because B.F. Skinner never lived in a commune, never actually wanted to participate that way. He always lived at Harvard, where he was a professor, etc. But Epicurus, living life not like a pig. A lot of people could critique this, saying that just trying to be happy, basically pigs are like that. Well, Epicurus thought, this is not just living like a pig, but trying to live like an educated, happy person, right? Where you're isolating yourself from the turmoils of this life, but happy because you have everything you need. And we move still more into society with Epictetus. Notice Epictetus, I think I briefly mentioned him in my kind of prequel to today by mentioning that one of his teachers was Ammoniusacus, and Ammoniusacus was a Christian. So we're looking at the Christian period when we're thinking about Epictetus, 50 to 135 AD. Remember, Jesus theoretically, in our calculating system, would be from year 1 AD to roughly 33 AD. So when did the Christian movement really get started in Rome? And my quiz question, by the way, for you today is, why did Christianity become the main religion of the Roman Empire? Or how, right? And I know it's not an easy question, and I don't really have an answer. I do know that Gibbon gives us a book that's rather famous.
The rise and fall of the
Yes.
or the decline and fall of the
Yeah, the decline, the rise and decline? Now I'm
The
confused.
fall and decline, I think.
The rise and decline.
Is it the rise? I thought it was the fall and decline. That's the one I was.
Maybe let's do it this way.
No, it's the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Yeah.
There you go. 3-volume tome, which that was fun when I was part of the 49th State Fellows program that we had here when we were testing students who were applying to join it. We used this text. We had a particular page where we let students read it and then explain it to us, which was fun. As a way of trying to make sure that they were readers. 49th States Fellows was like a school within a school within a school. So we had UAA, and then we have the Honors College. And for years, while we had funding, we had the 49 State Fellows, which was a goal of having 49 different individuals in chairs. We literally were planning on having a room with 49 chairs for these 49 students who were being given a $450 semester bonus, and their courses were free, etc. So it was a really cool program. And during the summer, we took them on trips, which was fun. My wife and I took them to Virginia and Washington, D.C., and I think that was when we left. We were only there with them for like 2 weeks or so. But neat, and we use this as the kind of the reading test for the students to get into the program. But the decline and fall, I disagree with Gibbon. He argues in the book that the Romans collapsed, and the main reason that they collapsed was because they became Christian. Being Christian, most people become uninterested in joining the military and killing the enemy, because Christians are taught to turn the other cheek. Yes? Is that actually what Jesus teaches? Pardon?
Sometimes.
I mean, it's also the guy who threw tables around because he was pissed off at money lenders, so.
Apparently, yes,
Everything in,
yes.
everything in moderation.
Revolution in Judea, why did they arrest him, etc. No, but a kind of an interesting story. You know, if he says if someone slaps you on the what cheek?
The right.
The right cheek. If I hit you on the right cheek, which I would never do, but if I did, I would be using my left hand. Yes? To hit your right cheek, I would have to use my left hand. So that's interesting, because if someone were really trying to hurt you, which hand would they usually use?
Your dominant hand.
So normally they would hit you with the right hand, so they wouldn't hit your left cheek. So basically a slap on the left cheek is an insult, right? And Jesus recommends that you should turn your other cheek as well, right? In other words, when someone insults you, go ahead, bring it on. It's not letting them hit you on the other side. It's saying, let's